Howdy folks, and welcome to another Taste of Gameplay video, this time for the French Tier 3 Tech Tree Battleship, the Turenne. As always, these videos are designed to give you a sample of the gameplay of the ship, not to be an exhaustive analysis. I recommend the Wargaming Wiki or other content creators. So, the Turenne, even the Wargaming Wiki says it is, quote, very similar to other Tier 3 battleships. Which is, I think, a way of saying all Tier 3 battleships are kind of made the same, which is mostly true. The Turenne is fine. It has adequate stuff going on. It's got some reasonably okay AP, although the shell velocity is not great. It's got reasonable secondaries, but they don't kick in until, I think, 4 kilometers. The shell velocity being slow is why my aim is off here at the beginning. Yeah, so I was thinking, like, how do I make this video interesting, you know, both for you and for myself? And one thing I thought I would do is the Turenne has another one of these hexagonal gun arrangements with the fixed gun emplacements. So the guns are actually physically on opposite sides of the ship and they can't all fire at the same time. So I said to myself, as I'm sure you have asked yourself, what if I just try and get all 6 guns firing by weaving, by turning back and forth? Will that work? And just so I don't bury the lead, the answer is kind of, like a little bit. You know, if you plan on weaving anyway for other reasons, then definitely it will get you a few more guns. I don't think it's worth it to weave intentionally just to get the other guns to fire. So I did a little training room research after the game, and for the Turenne, from full speed straight ahead, it takes about 40 seconds to turn a full 180 degrees. And the turret traverse on the Turenne, I looked it up, is 36 seconds for a 180 degree turn. So they're almost exactly the same, which is why you get that feeling sometimes like you can occasionally feel like you're out turning your turrets on some ships, especially lower tier ships or ships with really bad turret traverse. It's because, I mean, you can, right? And the Turenne is balanced on a fine edge. They're almost exactly the same. So what that means in practice is, well, okay, and the reload, obviously the reload is really important. The reload is 30 seconds. Anyway, so all these numbers are just about the same, which means that turning to get the guns to fire, I can tell you anecdotally, it feels like it's slightly helpful. Like, so one thing is the 6 gun in the back, you're just in this kind of mode, you're never going to fire that gun, right? Because it keeps trying to turn left and right and it never locks onto anything, basically. So there's that. So now you're down to 5 guns, and you can get all 5 guns to fire. That was a funny double strike. So I got a close quarters expert on that cruiser. I think I did like 100 damage to it. Anyway, so the point is, if you ever were wondering and didn't want to try it yourself, you can sort of get a little more DPM by just weaving back and forth, but it's barely worth it. And, you know, in all other respects, the Turenne is fine. I mean, it would help if I could aim better. But, you know, as with all low-tier battleships, the dispersion here is really bad, even at short ranges. Not like Mikasa bad, but, you know, bad. I've been doing some thinking about, like, what it means for game design for these low-tier battleships to have such bad dispersion. It's clearly an intentional choice that Wargaming made. Again, I don't know how much of it is historical, right? I mean, obviously, I'm sure battleships in real life did have really bad dispersion. So, you know, if they want to model it accurately, but I mean, this game's never been about accuracy, right? It's an arcade sim. From a game design, game theory, user perspective, it's an interesting choice to make these beginning ships have this really low dispersion. On the one hand, it's a good thing in the sense that, well, let me put it this way. It would be very bad for game design and game satisfaction if the higher end players had to put up with this kind of dispersion, because once you increase your skill level, you want to be rewarded for that. And if you become really good at positioning and lining up shots only to have all your shells just go flying off into the ether, that's not going to feel good. That's going to feel really frustrating. So if you were going to have bad dispersion in any tier, it's probably is better to have it down here at this lower level. But the issue with that is, so another upside to that is that the enemy, even if they're better than you, they're not going to be able to instantly dev strike you off the map. Like even at low tiers, skill wins out. Like somebody who's better at the game will win, but it's not like they're going to take their first shot and just put all their shells into your citadel and you just explode. That's not going to happen because of the really bad dispersion numbers on essentially every ship at this tier. So that's a good thing. The bad thing is at low tiers, you really want reinforcement learning to kick in, right? So, you know, in some sense, it's actually a good thing if a user experiences some negative feedback when they make a game mistake. So if you turn broadside in a cruiser to a battleship at 7 kilometers and they shoot at you, you really should take a lot of damage. If you don't take a lot of damage, then you don't learn that that's a bad idea. And then you might get into a tier 7 game and do it and get dev struck and then feel like that's really frustrating, like quote unquote, the game changed, right? Or you were unlucky because you didn't really learn that that's just a bad idea to do. And that's the way the game is supposed to work. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I get it. I understand why they do it. I don't think they do a great job of explaining that that's what's happening, right? They show you some dispersion numbers, but they really don't, especially as a new player, you don't understand that there's this hidden calculation happening and it's different for different ships. And for some ships, it's really strongly scattering your shells. And no matter where you aim, it's creating a gigantic ellipse and it's just basically throwing them all over the place. That's not explained terribly, terribly well. I often wonder what new players think when they see that happening. Do they think I did something wrong? Maybe they think, hey, this isn't a very good ship. I don't know. I don't know what their feeling is. I'd be really curious to see new players. I haven't seen someone brand new to the game in a long time, so I don't know what that feels like. But anyway, from the point of view of you, dear viewer, deciding if you want to play the Turenne, it's fine. The Turenne is fine. It's got pretty good armor. There are ships with better shells. There are definitely battleships I like better. Yeah, obviously my favorite is the Koenig Albert. Hardly surprising. It's probably the best one. But, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the Turenne. It's fine. It's slow, but then they're all slow. This one is especially slow, but then, yeah, again, they're all slow. Dispersion's bad, but dispersion's always bad. You get a lot of hit points. If you know how to play at the low tiers, you can. I don't think the Turenne is especially frustrating or bad. I also don't think it's especially great. I agree with the wiki, and I will see you guys in the next one.